Hello, this is Warweasel again. It's been a while since I've made a video because I haven't really been working on much. Uh, I've been working on life stuff. But today I thought I would just do a walkthrough of current my current process about how I can create objects in Blender, texture them using Substance, and then move them over to Unreal. And it turns out it is not as simple as I thought it might be. But I wanted a fast and quick explanation for people when they finally get to this point. So to start off with, I have Blender open. I'm going to go to Preferences, and I'm not going to do all the things where I actually install the thing, but I do want to come here and show that the validations, I had some trouble with the texture references, so I just took those off. My paths are here. I just used the defaults. It seems to work just fine. Now, to begin with, let's just create an object. And for this, I'm going to create a monkey. Good monkey. A couple of things I want to do. I want to shade that smooth. All right. Right now, that monkey is absolutely tiny. So I have to scale it by 100. And then I think I'm going to leave the center where it is. So once I do that scale, I need to apply it. All right, that's nice and simple. So now, let's jump here to UV editing, because that's going to become important here. And this is fine for this, but there's going to be a problem in the future that I'm going to jump up on. But now I need to go to Substance Source and get some kind of material. Let's just use the free ones. There's one down here I've been wanting to try, this iridescent car paint. And that's not what I wanted. I don't want the S bar. I need the SBS. So I'm going to open that up, copy that to a location. I have my own location for all my Substance stuff. And now this SBS. If you have Substance Designer, it should just open up in Substance Designer. Oftentimes I get this format changed. I just say yes to all. That seems to work. Okay, looks like it did something. Give it a minute. Okay, that looks good. So what you're going to want to do is to open this up as soon as it lets you. Great. And then right click, export outputs as bitmaps. I take everything. And then make sure that you change where it puts it. So I put mine right what is the name of this? Iridescent, there it is, car iridescent paint. And then I just select that folder. Now I export them. This takes a minute. Chugga, 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 chugga. Export done. Now I'm done with this. Actually, not quite done with this. To save some time, I'm going to go up to the top here and I'm going to publish as an S bar. Again, you want to put it in the right place. And that's just going to output in the background, so that's fine. Let's jump back to Blender. Well, it looks like we have a perfectly good set of UVs. So go to Shading. And this is going to require Node Wrangler, by the way. So you want to create a new texture or a new material. I'm going to open that up. Go to Node Wrangler, add Principled. I'm going to go to Assets, Clean, Substance, Car. And here we go. For some reason it's taking some time. And there it finally is. We take it here. We do a principled texture setup. And let's see how that looks. This is probably going to be a little bit weird. All right, well, that looks good enough for me. At least we can tell what it is. And generally, that's how you bring things in. But this iridescence is very, very strange. Is it rendered? Am I looking at rendered? Yep. And we'll do a more traditional texture here in a minute. But now, we can take Suzanne, put it under Mesh here, go to Pipeline Export, and I already have just a third-person example project running. Now, before I start this, I have to add a couple plugins. I have to do, the editor. Let's see, script. Here it is. Python script. And yes. Editor script. Editor scripting utilities. There we go. Those are both beta, but Okay, we are back. And now I should be able to go to Project Settings, All Settings, Remote. Enable Remote Shader Compile. Oh, Enable Remote Execution. There it is. And then I have my editor preferences. And there I need to look up CPU. Use less CPU when in the background. So there, that should be good. Project settings. You can close the plugins. And I can save all. So that's always good to do. So now, theoretically, all I have to do is go to, remember I put Suzanne in the mesh collection. Hit Pipeline, Send to Unreal. So now let's jump here. Suzanne has some nearly zero normals. Okay. That's fine. But here, now I can look under Untitled Category, Untitled Asset, and here's Suzanne. Now remember, we don't really want to use this material because we have a better one. Now, if you've enabled, I think I forgot to enable another plugin. So I have to come here and search for Substance, enable it, and I'll restart this again as soon. Save selected. And there we are again. Now I can go to Import. Remember that we built an S-bar of this substance. So car iridescent paint. This is the S-bar. And we're just going to import that. I usually make a directory for all the files, but here's the material, and we can just plop it on there. And there we go. We have a nice iridescent material. And you know what? Blender didn't do such a bad job. That's actually what it looks like. So a nice quick way of getting your character to Yep, there we go. If I want to put that there. So now my guy is nice and shiny if I wanted to run around. Here he is. See, that's a lot of fun. Now for my next trick, I'm going to show you something a little bit more difficult. New, General, don't save. One of the problems I have is that I like to use tileable textures. These are things like roads and bricks and that sort of thing. So here I'm going to create a cube. I'm going to look at it. We're going to make it 50 times bigger, so it's only oops. So it's only 1 meter by 1 meter. We could take a look at that up here. So if I look at the item, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Great. These types of edges just look really bad. So I'm going to go ahead and use hard ops real quick to kind of make that look better. I'm going to use 5 segments because this is kind of low poly. And there we go. Now I'm going to run to the shader, select that, and create a new material. This is just a principled BSDF. Again, I'm going to use the Node Wrangler to create a add principle setup. But I'm going to use an existing one that I've already gotten. We have, let's see, bricks. Grout covered brick wall. I like this one. Now this one's kind of interesting because I made a 2K variant, so it's not quite as high texture. Doesn't use quite as much memory. So I'm just going to grab those and there we go. So that looks really nice. So if I go ahead and go to rendered, I think that looks pretty good. Rotate and run the Z. So I'm going to go over to the UV editor. And we're going to render this again. And these are all sort of the wrong way. So I'm going to rotate 90. And I'm just going to make this a whole lot bigger. Be sure to turn off your snapping. That is such a pain. I didn't understand why I couldn't move things for so long. Alright, so here we go. There. Now what you'll see is that this is sort of reusing the texture. So every different face is the same. But it looks pretty good considering that the lighting's different on every side. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to take my cube and I'm going to put it into mesh. And I should be able, whoops, jump out of here. Go out to the layout, pipeline, export, send to Unreal. That'll take a minute. So if I pop out here, oh, there's my cube. Very nice, very nice. Again, I'm going to go ahead and bring all the car paint. I'm going to put that in a folder. Car paint. Whenever you move something, after you're done, make sure that you go to fix up redirectors, fix up redirections. Otherwise, that can cause you issues in the future. Now, I don't want any of these materials, so I'm just going to delete them. I'm going to import, again from Substance, but this time it's the grout covered brick wall. I created an S-bar earlier. Import that. So here's my material, and just throw it on there. And look at how nice that is. That looks absolutely perfect. In fact, right now, I think I should do a lighting build, just to make sure everything looks as perfect as possible. And just about done. I want to see my beautiful... What's this? Object has wrapping UVs. Yeah, what's that mean? That can't be important. Close that message log. I don't need to worry. Oh my God, that's awful. Look at what happened here. Well, it took me a while to figure out what happened because this happened on a much more intensive mesh, and I was certain that I had screwed everything up horribly. Apparently, Unreal uses its own texture to do the shadows, to put the shadows where they need to go, and, well, it writes it over top of each other. So the shadows on the back are getting put on the front, and because basically I'm writing over it all 6 times, and that's just horrible. But there's an easy way to fix that. Now I'm going to come here. We're going to go back to the UV editing. We're going to go to UV maps, and I need to make a duplicate. So I'm going to call this lighting map. Okay, make sure you have this one selected. And scale that down so it all fits inside the texture. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a great fit. But now that I'm done, I can jump back up here, pipeline, exports into Unreal. Right. Pop back here. Oh, well, it updated itself, so I know I got it. But now I need to edit the cube. Now, under General Settings, where it's hidden from you, because all the good stuff is hidden from you by default, what you want to do, Light Map Coordinate Index, because we're using the second set of texture coordinates. Also, I'm going to grab the that's going to be the default. So save, pop out of there. Now when I do a build lighting only. And there it is. It looks great. Now to show you what can happen, I'm going to pop back here. I don't really care about this cube, so I'm going to open a recent one. Don't save. And this is my nicely made little setup. All right. Remember, when you're modeling, always put a character next to it so it looks the right size. And this is just a little scene I've put together. And I'm not going to do the whole scene, but I am going to show you what can happen. Okay, well that took longer than I expected. But here I finally got, well, most of the textures in. I have a couple small issues, but I think I can fix those. One thing of note, here I have my lampposts. These, if your material is just, like if I come here, let me grab this. If these are just principled BSDF and these are all constants, that will come in pretty nicely. So if you just want to throw a color on there or a texture on there for the time being so that you have something and then you want to put something nice later, that's how it works. But here is what I was talking about. I have this brick, I have this asphalt, I have this concrete, I have some, some junk underneath. The dirt didn't come in correctly, but I'll deal with that later. This light works fine. However, and in fact, let's just take a quick run. There's another little thing I wanted to show. And yes, see, it actually creates the collision volumes for you. Not exactly perfect. I can't go in the house here. I'd have to create something a little bit more, but a little bit more refined, but not bad for almost no work. So you see that? It just creates a box volume around it by default. And you can go in and change that, or you can make your own. And I'll get into how to do that later. But now I am going to rebuild the lighting. And because I am reusing the brick, it's a tileable texture, of course I'm going to have overlapping UVs. And when you do, it's going to end up looking, well, just awful. Here, I'll show you. Yep, it gives me the warnings. And all of these are messed up horribly. Because the light is being added, or I should say that the shadows are being added multiple places, from multiple places onto the same texture. So I'm going to have to go and deal with this eventually. And the places where you really care about your shadows, you're going to want to have those larger, but eventually I'm going to come back and fix all this and make this look nice. Well, that's all I have for today. I've been mostly focusing on modeling and getting good at modeling. I hope this was useful. That's my general workflow. You notice it worked well in this case. It was perfect. We had to do a little extra work here and here. I'm going to have to go back, break things apart, create new UVs, and, well, figure it out from there. Well, thank you for listening.